Hey, welcome to Design Your CEO Life. I'm your host, Shay Cannon. I have designed my CEO life to live and work my business from anywhere in the world. I started this journey in Belize. I lived in Mexico for 3 years before going to Buenos Aires, Argentina for a year and a half. But now I'm back in my favorite little beach town of Playa del Carmen, Mexico, truly living my best life just 3 blocks from the Caribbean Sea. Thank you for joining me as I share conversations, stories, and strategies to help you to design your CEO life. Welcome to season 2. This is a conversation. It may seem a little one-sided, but what I know for sure is that even though I'm the one talking to you, I know you have some thoughts on what I'm saying, and you may even be answering me back. I'd love to hear from you. I am at Shay Cannon COO everywhere. I'm on almost all social media. Tag me and tell me how you liked the episode, what was impactful for you, and even anything you disagree with. Again, it's at Shay Cannon COO everywhere. This episode 2 is called Minimalism in Business and Life, how a kiss can make it all better. Let's get into it, all right? If you know my story, then you know that, number one, I decided and executed on leaving the United States within 30 days. I'm telling you, I started thinking about living outside of the U.S. in August, and by September the 1st of 2018, I was on a plane to Belize, okay? Number two, to make that happen, I sold whatever I could and gave away the rest, kept very few possessions, and left with what fit into checked and carry-on bags. So over time, as I've traveled, I've even whittled that down to even fewer possessions. So what I understood was, for where I was going, I needed to take less to experience more. And if you know me, you know it's time for me to take these glasses off so we can really get into it, all right? You see, when you focus on life experiences, you know seeing what's in the world is better than having everything in the world. So you focus less on a life of owning things as you find they'll weigh you down, right? And you focus more on a life of experiencing things, and you want to travel light to do that. So they tend to call traveling a wanderlust, but you can't wander freely when you're weighed down. You start to sift through what you have to keep only what you need or what's special to you. Okay. In the time that I had a 5-bedroom house, and I am going through all of that stuff to see what I can sell, what I can give away, what's going with me, what I'm going to store, and what I'm going to trash. And I trashed a lot of stuff. Let me tell you, I used to do things like, I love a nice journal, right? In fact, I'm sure I have one right here. So I love a nice journal, especially one with a nice cover on it, right? So I tended to collect journals. I had over 30 journals, but let me tell you the crazy part. I hadn't written in any one of them. I didn't write in it because they were too pretty to write in. Well, now the only journals I have are the ones that I write in. Okay. I don't need a journal that I'm not going to write in. And what I'm writing has to do more with my experiences, which is amazing. But can you imagine that when I got ready to pack up that house and determine what I'm going to sell, determine what I'm going to keep, what I'm going to store, what I'm going to take with me, I ran into a whole bunch of stuff I didn't need that I had been keeping for years. Do you hear me? So many years. You cannot keep all of that stuff. And one thing I turned to help me was Marie Kondo, and her series was called Tidying Up, I think it was. So in the sentiment of Marie Kondo, look at your stuff, right? Because it's not about having a lot of stuff. It's about keeping only what brings you joy. And that really helped me to make a lot of decisions, because giving up a lot of stuff, I used to be not necessarily a hoarder, but I had a lot of shoes. I had a lot of different types of clothes for different types of events. And most of those events wouldn't even be a part of my life anymore. So I want us to now start to look at things to simplify things, right? So the KISS that makes all things better is simplicity. Now, we don't say keep it simple, stupid, but I will say keep it simple, sister, okay? Because to streamline your life to collect experiences and not things is the goal. And so we want to do things like even declutter for our mental peace. So getting rid of a lot of physical things to give our brain clarity and focus. Have you noticed that if you're in a dirty room, it's hard to focus? If you're in a room with a bunch of stuff, it's hard to focus. I love a lot of empty space. I love a lot of empty space. When I move from country to country, I don't own furniture. I don't own decor. I only rent apartments and lease apartments and condos that are already fully furnished. So I'm coming in with clothes and just my intimate personal things. All of this stuff you see back here, that was already here. Most of this stuff you see as decor, already here. I may rearrange and put it in ways that feel better to me. Put it in places where I want to see this or don't want to see that, but I don't own a bunch of stuff anymore. So you can even declutter your physical space to give you mental peace. I need you to think about the fact that less really is more. The psychological benefit of having fewer possessions gives you reduced stress and reduced anxiety. Let me tell you why you can't keep your house clean. You got too much stuff, right? You only need a minimal amount of stuff. And then when you have stuff, your stuff needs to have a place. So everything you own needs to have its own place, so that when you clean up, all it is putting the stuff that you own in its right place. If you got so much stuff, nothing really has a right place. That's why you end up with junk drawers and junk boxes and junk rooms. We can minimalize that stuff. We can simplify it. We can create spaces that encourage creativity. So clearing out a physical space can open up room not only for you to have mental peace, but for your creativity to spark and really come alive with thinking of new ideas in your business, new things to explore, new ways to live life that will make you happy. I will tell you, when I moved to Belize, I truly understood simplicity in a household. The kitchen was a counter that reminded me of a storefront counter, right? So on one side, it was all you saw was the counter in the back, and then the back of the counter. And you came into the kitchen, and what you saw was the front of the counter had shelves. That was all the shelving in the kitchen, was that counter and the shelves under it. The sink was a regular sink, but the stove top was more like burners, like propane burners. And it was two of them, and they were, the larger size. And the refrigerator was a small refrigerator. And I looked at that and I thought, this is very simple. This is not what I'm used to in having lived in the United States, but you know what? It's all that I need. Can you look at all the stuff that you have and decide, do you need it? And the stuff that you don't need, is it bringing you joy? Look at all the clothes you have. Some of those clothes you will never wear again. Some of those clothes you've yet to wear. If you went in there and only picked your favorite outfits, only looked at the clothes that brought you joy, and you only had those clothes, you'd probably be a happier person. Most of y'all are wearing the same outfits over and over again anyway, based on ease and comfort and them being your favorite. What if that was all the space that was being taken up in your closet? That'd be great, right? What about streamlining your operations to doing what is strategic in your business and not just doing stuff to do stuff? Yeah, simplicity in business. You can eliminate unnecessary processes, how to identify and, just what is needed and what is not needed. Some of these processes have all these extra steps. What are the least amount of steps that it would take to get the same result? That's the type of process we want in business. And me being a chief operating officer, let me tell you, that's my area of expertise. The more simple that it is, the better that it is. The more simple that it is, the easier it is to track. The more simple that it is, the easier it is to fix when a problem arises. So we want these simple processes. I also want you, when you're thinking about what to do and what to have your team to do, you need to focus on core activities, okay? Put your energy and resources into the few activities that will produce the biggest impact on your business. They call it the 80-20 rule or 80-20 principle. And what they say is that 20% of the things that you do drive 80% of the results that you get. So if you can figure out that 20% of the things that you do that get you those 80% of results and only focus on doing more of that 20%, you're going to get more of those results, right? Let me give you another reason why having simple processes work better in business for you. Cuts down stress, number one. But number two, I have found as a COO that when I go into different businesses and the CEO is blaming their team, the team is not performing, the team is not doing what I tell them to do. I keep telling them over and over about this, about that, and the other. What I always find is that the processes are way too complex. Okay. Instead of trying to have as few steps as possible, they have filled it up with steps. They have made it more complicated than it needs to be. So, especially as a solopreneur, when you're the only one in your business, start documenting how you do things, but make it a habit to do things in a way that only has a number of steps that need to be there to get the result. That way, when you start to build your team, they're following an already simple process. But when you get a team, what we want to do is we want to macro manage, not micro manage. So micro manage is standing over them, making sure they do the steps the way you want them to do them, and that's it. Right? You're always, there's this like Uber accountability going on, and it's stifling. Macro management is when you manage the outcome and not the steps to get there. And what that does is you show them the steps, you share the steps, but you make them responsible for the outcome and the result that you want and not following those steps. In fact, you free them up to tell you when those steps aren't working, to tell you when they have a better idea of what steps to take rather than what you had planned. This is how you use the genius of the team instead of stifling them. Okay, so make things simple. Tell them this is the result we want. These are the steps we've taken in the past to get there. Start with these steps. Let me know if you have a better process. Please share that with us and we can approve that be our new process. So we want to macro manage, not micro manage. And that's what? Simpler. Okay. So once you know how you want your life and your business to be, you have to set that as the focus. We've talked about vision before. We talked about vision in the last episode, but focus is the key. So here's the simplicity. Every decision that you make is guided by the focus that you set. It makes things so much simpler. It is not complex to know what to do and what not to do. It's simple. 2 rules. Does it get me closer or further away from that focus? Does it support or distract from the focus? Simple. Simple. So, want to know where your priorities really lie? I have a test for you. If you want to know where your priorities really are, don't just start listing them. If you want to know where someone else's priorities are or where they lie, don't just ask them. Ask them, what do they spend most of their time doing? Ask them, what do they spend most of their money on? Because where your priorities lie is where you spend your time and where you spend your money. Those are your 2 top resources. And we spend resources on priorities. So there are a lot of people that say, if you ask somebody, what is your priority in life? They're going to give you an answer of what they wish it was. They're going to give you an answer of what society tells you it should be. If you are a parent and someone asks you, what is your priority in life? You're going to say your children or your family. You're going to say, your spouse or your companion. Even people who say their career is their priority. When they say that, and then you come back and you ask, well, where do you spend most of your time? There are a lot of people that say their family is their priority and they don't spend a lot of time with their family. Some people say their family is their priority and they don't spend a lot of money on their family. Again, you want to know what the priority is, follow the money, follow the time. So let's talk about simplifying your finances, okay? You can simplify your finances by taking some of the complexity out. Look at your budget or look at what you're spending money on and decide, is that the priority? And start eliminating the things that you're investing money in that is not the priority, okay? And I'm not defining the priority for you. You define your own priority. That's the freedom of it all. But is your money going to what you say is a priority? Because a lot of people see a budget as something that's restraining them. That's actually not what a budget is. And you're thinking about it incorrectly. A budget is a tool to make sure that the priority for your money is where your money goes. That's what a budget truly is, okay? Also, are you investing in experiences or are you investing in things? So you might want to look at the priorities of where you're spending. If your cable bill is very high, but you claim you want to do things together as a family and not watch TV, then why are you spending more money on cable than you're actually spending on you and your family going and having experiences together? Right? Look at those expenses. If you want to invest more in experiences and not on things, look around your house. I have a friend of mine that she said she wanted to travel, right? I was traveling a lot. This was before I even moved out of the United States. I traveled a lot. I take those vacation days. Baby, I was wearing out PTO because that's the life that I wanted to live. So I had a friend that said she wanted to travel more, but she didn't have the money. But when you walk in her house, you saw knickknacks and decor everywhere. There's this store in Birmingham, Alabama called Kirkland's, and they sell like high-end home decor. So I don't know if you have a Kirkland's, but that's what it was. They sold high-end home decor, and you kind of, even places like Pier 1 Imports, you kind of got an idea of the style of that stuff. So when you would see it in somebody's house, you would say, oh, I bet that came from Kirkland's, or, oh, I can tell that came from Pier 1 Exports, right? Well, her entire house almost was like a store. Every nook and cranny, every corner, every shelf, that's what you spent your money on. The money that you say you want to travel with and that you don't have is in all of this decor. Let's have a yard sale, okay? So where you spend your money is important. Also, there are people who want to live a long time, that you want to be healthy, but are you spending enough money on your health? I need you to consider that. I'm not going to press it because I could do better myself. But again, what do you prioritize and where are you spending your money? Okay. Now, let's align your time with simplicity. I got 3 things for you. What you value should get more of your time. We've already said that. But you need to be using your boundaries to protect your time. Stop people pleasing. Okay. I want you to remember this. Every time you're saying yes to somebody else, that's taking time away from you. So you're saying no to yourself. Now, it doesn't mean that you never say yes to people, but what it does mean is you figure out what you're saying no to for you before you give that yes. Okay. Number 3, anything that's important enough for you to do should be important enough for you to put on your calendar so that you have created space to honor what you said you were going to do. Okay. So I have a saying, and that is, you don't get the life that you want, you get the life that you calendar. Put it on the calendar. All right. Now, speaking of time, there's something I don't like when it comes to life and when it comes to business. I don't like hustle and bustle. Okay. I want us to go from hustle to flow. Y'all remember that movie, Hustle and Flow? Well, I want us to come out of hustle and go into flow. Okay. I want you to think of hustle as just busy and too much movement and taking up too much energy. And I want you to see flow as calm and simple. Okay. So hustle is associated with a lot of business success, right? Everybody say, I'm a hustler. I got to hustle. Hustle and a lot of movement is even associated with life. There are some people that are just always moving. They never really rest. But the goal is not to hustle. It's never going to be the goal. So since we're designing our CEO life, we want to design a business that doesn't require hustle, and we want to desire a life that doesn't require hustle. So the goal is to work smarter, not harder. Okay. Now, let me make a connection for you. Smarter is usually what's simpler. Did you know that? The smarter way is usually the simpler way. The harder way is usually the more complex way that's unnecessarily complicated. Again, just like when we're setting up our processes, anything that we do, we want to work smarter. And smarter means we're spending less money to do it, we're spending less time to do it, and we're getting the best result despite that. Okay? Now let me make a connection for you. We complicate things by going against our nature. We complicate things by going against our nature. If we do things the way we would naturally do it, it would come easier to us and it would take less time, less energy, less effort. So when you don't direct your flow, that means you're in somebody else's flow. And somebody else's flow is not set up for your success. So your flow is what caters to your particular genius, your particular natural rhythms, your particular default urges, how you would do it if nobody else messed with you, had an opinion, and had their own another process that they introduced to you. Okay. This is where intuition and trusting your gut that we talked about in the last episode comes in. You have to be brave enough to trust how you feel you should do things. It often takes bravery because your flow is most often not the same as the status quo. What's best for you is often not what society has programmed you that you should be doing. So let's start talking about crafting our personal flow state. First, let's do things like understand the hours of the day that we're most productive. And let's set our production time during that time. What hours of the day are you most creative? Let's set our creative stuff during that time. Let me give you a great example. I am most creative when I wake up and I'm fresh. So that's why I tend to do my content. I have a morning show that I do. I have reels that I produce. I have blog posts that I write. I tend to do it in the mornings. That's when I'm most creative. I wake up, I'm well rested. I'm highly creative in the mornings. Okay? Creative. Now, if I have to do something analytical or something that feels like work, I need my more productive hours for that. And what I have found is that's between 12 and 4. That's my highly productive time. So that's where my productive time slots are. So I am creating my flow and working in my flow. You want to design a daily routine to keep things simple. You have certain slots for certain things, and so most things get touched on and taken care of. You want to recognize when it's time to rest. I need y'all to stop staying up all night doing stuff, because what you're producing during that time ain't good enough, no way. Okay? Or what you're producing during that time is taking up too much time because you can't even focus. You need to recognize when it's time to rest. Okay? You need a hard stop and you need a soft stop to your day. Cut it out. We need time to live our life during the day. We need time to focus on our business. We need time to focus on our loved ones. We need time to do what we like to do during the day. That takes structure. Okay? So we can flow in and out of our priorities as we need to. So flow takes rest. Know when you need to rest. I want us to just start embracing slow business, okay? We don't have to go fast and do anything. In fact, to build a sustainable business, we want to build a business that has a pace that we want to be able to keep up with. Why would you start your business off with a bunch of hustle when to keep getting the same results you got from hustle, you're going to have to keep hustling? Structure your business in the way you want it to be so that you can figure out how to be successful in the way that you actually want to do business. Resist the urge to scale too quickly. I used to be in a business mastermind, and all they said was we couldn't even rest on our laurels and celebrate wins, because the coaches would be like, all right, what's the next thing? No, I'm going to chill out and celebrate this thing and think more and reflect on how I got here, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it. Feel free not to scale too quickly. Feel free not to start your business off with a huge team. You don't have to do these things. Start trusting the process as it comes. Move slow enough to where you can take in things as they come in and make decisions based on that. Is it matching up with your vision? You don't want to be going so fast that you've been doing the wrong things for too long because you didn't slow down enough to compare it to the vision. All right? We want to start finding fulfillment beyond other people's success metrics. Okay? Start redefining success. What is success to you? I don't care what success is to everybody else. What is success to you? What brings you joy? There is joy in simplicity, and there is simplicity in joy. What makes you happy? Let's put some happiness in every day. Let's put some happiness in every week. Let's put some happiness in every month, every quarter, every year. In season 1, I talked a lot about how you're going to infuse that joy and how to have a happiness list. Find that episode in season 1. It's great. We also want to do some purpose-driven living, right? We want to align, again, this was where vision comes in. We want to align our actions to our purpose because our purpose is reflected in our vision. So the question is, can you shed all of the bull crap programming in favor of self-discovery of what works best for your own programming? Can you let go of what doesn't further your focus in favor of your vision? Can you avoid getting caught up in other people's flow for the bravery that it takes to create your own flow? Can you keep things simple? Design your life and your business based on what you want and what you need. That's the minimalism that you need most to achieve what you desire most. So this is what I want you to remember. I want you to remember that long-term benefits of simplicity. You get freedom, you get flexibility, you get mental resilience, mental peace, and you get more space for opportunity. So your homework, 30-day minimalism challenge. So I want you to declutter one area of your life a day. I want you to have a 1 in, 1 out rule where for every new item, physical item, or every new commitment, you remove an item or you remove a commitment to keep harmony. I want you to focus on gratitude, because sometimes you need more because you're not thankful for what you already have. Yes, I am a CEO, but I provide award-winning fractional chief operating officer services to an exclusive clientele of 7 and 6-figure CEOs. I've been featured by Time Magazine, Delta Airline, Thrive Global, and more. I help solo and entrepreneurs to stop spinning their wheels and struggling to get to their first 6 figures in business. If that's you, I'd like to invite you to my free group where we build community, we create collaborations, and we have conversations to provide you with transformational business growth. Go to shaycannon.info/group and join us. Well, that's all for this episode. It's been a pleasure having you to tune in. So, CEO, go design a life worth living. Bye for now.